It's that time of day. Monday. Let us begin. I almost forgot. Not entirely. Almost forgot. To get a phrase for the day. For some reason, Google Translate is being a bitch. What is going on? Work, damn you! Oh, there we go. I think it's fixed now. Today's phrase is a funny one. But we will do that in a moment. First, I will descend. There we go. To gather the chi for painting is most important. Let us begin. Oh. Loosen your shoulders. Inhale. For it is time for PEINTEINGU. 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 Painting you. Painting me. It's PEINTEINGU. Painting you. Painting me. It's PEINTEINGU. Let's fucking go. Assemble the equipment. Where's my bitches? I would ring the gong, but the feeble little microphone can't pick it up. And I only realized this like 3 streams ago. My squirt. And my glorious pirate. Hopefully, I have managed to preserve and not waste the goo. A squirt to check. Has the leftover goo survived the weekend? Probably not. Let's get one of these bitches wet and find out. This one. I like this new bitch. Long, slender, thick. I'm partial to a chisel. Right. My forehead muscles are so strong that the bandana regularly moves from its default position. Alas, there is fuck all I can do about that, apart from have a stone, stoic expression, constantly, for about 2 hours straight. This would be difficult, but achievable. Perhaps I will try it one stream. Just be like this. No expression. Just painting. I'm feeling some people would find it a tad disturbing. It would appear some of the goo has survived the weekend. This is not too gooey. Still a bit pliable. Bitch's hair is so long it touched the bottom of the bucket, which is kind of handy. More friction is always better when preening your bitches. Ah, you must not forget your royal rag. Placed upon your royal knee, the royal rag is of paramount importance, especially when it comes to regular bitch maintenance. Oh. The people are running rate for PEINTEINGU. They will be punished severely. Another bitch is needed. Let's make these piranha plant teeth a bit whiter, shall we? I also want to put more leaves on them. Gaddafi needs his medals. Mario and Luigi require a bit of detail. So do the fairies. I think the fairies' faces might be a bit of a challenge. You know? I want to keep them simple, but make them obviously female. And like, they're fairy magical creatures, so you want to make them look kind of pretty, but they're also engaged in combat, so like... Perhaps I should give them helmets. Like, a fairy wielding a bazooka is missing something, you know, like, if it's not wearing full Kevlar and a helmet. That'll actually just be a funny side project, is like a platoon of militaristic fairies. That'll be pretty fucking funny. Right. Yes, I will work my way up the PEINTEINGU. Time for ascension. Where's my reaver? Ugh. I wish I could just pull it and it had the strength to push me up, but no doubt it would like comedically fail someday and launch me into the ceiling. Okie dokie. Some repositioning for greater comfort. Comfortu, one of the many P's of PEINTEINGU. I think it's the concept of like coming up with saying and coming up with a lot of things that don't start with P and calling them one of the many P's of PEINTEINGU would actually be hilarious. We have many themes here on PEINTEINGU. We have offensive names for colours. We have the idea of the Desmond Hunter. I think the Desmond Hunter idea is still one of my favourites. It's hilarious for all the right reasons. Applying shading. Oh. PEINTEINGU. 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 Painting me. Painting you. It's PEINTEINGU. Painting you. Painting me. It's PEINTEINGU. Let's fucking go. So America is bombing Yemen. What's new? Like, fucking Americans. Bombing you. Bombing you, America. Bombing me. Bombing you. Let's fucking go. And your solution to most geopolitical grievances or indifferences or arguments, even, like, let's just bomb them. Like, there's a logic chain for you. If disagreement, then bombing. Like, that doesn't sound thuggish at all. There we go. Let's whiten up your teeth, shall we? God, I want a shamisen so bad. I need to sell some PEINTEINGU so I can buy myself a shamisen. Even just learning how to play that, like, on stream would be fucking hilarious. Some shamisens are so metal, man. Oh! Time to dance with some demons, I think. NPEU, welcome to PEINTEINGU. Thorbarrow, welcome to PEINTEINGU. How are you? A moment, for it is time to dance with some demons. I see many of the people are racking in honor today. Many people will have to buy a PEINTEINGU to make up for such shame.
When you sign up to ESPN
This
Network,
faggot does not belong on my screen. Rid me of him, please. Skip button. Thank you. Right. I'm sick of you, Dana, you fucking four-eyed, freaky fucking bitch. I'm here for the demons. Not for the Dana. Right. That fairy's wings need a bit of work. Paint, paint. Paint, paint. Paint, paint. Paint, paint. Painting goo 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 goo. Right. Paint, paint. Perhaps dancing with demons, but politely? I highly doubt. Well, you never know. I was about to say I highly doubt demons possess the ability to be polite, but like, whether it be fake or not, I don't know. I have this weird feeling though that like the whole demon and angel thing isn't even like as black and white as that. Like I'd say there's demons that like come over to the light side like all the time, or like demons that like work for the light side, and vice versa. I'd say there's angels that have like betrayed the good for the evil on many occasions. Because like the same way that like a demon would like, what was I saying on one of the other streams, is like the way I think it works, it's like if you're a really moral person and you're like doing a lot of noble stuff, the demons probably come for you like really intensely. Maybe not all the time, because you're living a very moral life. But when they do come for you, it's like intense as fuck. So, I think a demon who's really trying to impress his master would be interested in like potentially traumatizing and then therefore turning a really, really moral person. Kind of like that Islamic thing where it's like a demon that gets a couple to break up or something, gets to sit at Satan's side for a day or some shit. Like paint, paint. So if that's the case, then I think the way it works is like if they can get an angel to turn, it's like a fucking horrific thing to happen, like, you know. But vice versa, it's like if we can get a demon to appreciate the good and to turn to the good side. You know, like with the whole like Darth Vader right at the end in Star Wars, he like decides to just pick up the Emperor and just throw him down that fucking like technological chasm. The fucking like the inside of the Death Star or whatever the fuck it was at the time. Because that's what it is, isn't it? It's like your choices dictate who you are. And what kind of person you are, what kind of soul you are. Your choices dictate, I think, the integrity and the brightness maybe of your light. Because that's what it all boils down to, isn't it? It's like dark and light, either metaphorically or literally. This bitch's dress needs a bit of work. I need to create purple. Purpur. I'm gonna say purple in Japu is fucking purpur. I'm trying to make a purpur. Painting. Google. Ah, Desmondu. You have finally arrived. I was beginning to think that everybody had foregone their honor and decided to be a bunch of faggots. I'm glad to see at least you have come to your senses and realized that there is nowhere better to be than here, witnessing the morning glory of PEINTEINGU. That is not lilac. That's like a dirty lac. It's not a lilac, it's a sitting lac. Might do though. Might put a layer of that on and then go brighter again. Or I could just get a big slap of white. What did that do? Need more red. That's what's going on. That'll do for the moment though. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Where's Tonkamu? Welcome to PEINTEINGU. I too wonder about light and dark forces. Did you catch when Jerry Marzinski told Owen he had prayed to hear a demon voice, and then he heard the thing about his dog? That is something I would recklessly do. Yeah, well, like we all like do mad reckless shit, you know. We all do reckless shit like out of ignorance. Like retrospect's 2020, like, do you know, like I'm right there with you. Like the amount of things that I either have done or probably would do, and then in retrospect, like, or even in the moment, like as I'm doing it, be like, this is probably not a good idea. that trifecta of like, or the trinity of like knowledge, and ignorance, and then like free will. That clip of your man where it's like a minority who has information that a majority doesn't. You know, they can like really easily manipulate that majority simply because they have access to knowledge that the other guys don't. And like it sounds so obvious, you know, but like if you're not aware of that fact, that it's like, you know, like I remember fucking I think I pointed that out before. There's like that band Bring Me the Horizon. They have that song. I think it's Pray for Plagues or Chelsea Smile. I can't remember which one. Um, but like one of the lines in it is like, I know something you don't know. And like it's the same in combat and all. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if you know something your opponent doesn't, like your opponent's fucked. Like if you use knowledge correctly. I mean, you could know something that your opponent doesn't, and then like not use it correctly, and it doesn't matter, and they still beat you. You know. Just because you have knowledge doesn't mean that you're powerful. It's like, I suppose knowledge alone isn't power. It's like knowledge and then the ability to implement that knowledge using your will and your abilities is more like real power. I love the way Desmond do is like, who's this nigga? Much honor in raid arrival. Be careful, I might ban you for such blasphemy. How dare you? One of the many P's of PEINTEINGU, as you must know, is punctuality. Punctuality. So punctuality is just puncturing things. Oh, fuck. I need more yellow. Need more yellow in my life. Gaddafi's medals can't be white. Must be yellow. I'm wondering how graphically violent and bloody should I make this gunfight between the fairies and Mario and Luigi? like, I'd actually love to see that. I'd love to see somebody do a little take the old school versions of Mario and Luigi, the little pixelated ones from the old SNES Super Mario, the little squashed fucker, and put them in an 8-bit fucking R-rated shooter or some shit and they're shooting fairies and stuff but it's really violent. I think stuff like that is hilarious. Have any of you ever seen Happy Tree Friends? I used to watch that years ago when I was a teenager, and you used to have to go online to watch it and all, because it wasn't on telly or not, not the channels I had anyway. And it's these adorable little animals and cuddly toy looking things, do you know what I mean? These just really cute creatures with cute names and all, and really cute music and shit, and they just got into the most horrific situations and got brutally murdered. It was basically it was cuddly cutesy cartoon gore porn. But it was it wasn't I'm not a fan of gore porn. I remember seeing some horror movies and just being that's just nasty looking, you know. So I'm not actually I wouldn't actually refer to it as gore porn, but it's gore porn-esque because of how violent and how detailed the gore is, and detailed the violence is, and how violent it is. But it's violent in a slapstick way as well. Because some of the shit that happens, you're what the fuck? Kind of has that Final Destination vibe to it, where things will get cut off, by things that wouldn't be sharp and stuff. Do you know what I mean? A Christmas tree, a cardboard cutout of a Christmas tree goes flying through the air and full on decapitates one of the characters or something. You know, it's it kind of, the suspension of disbelief sometimes is a bit broken, obviously because it's a cartoon with cuddly toys and shit for the most part, but when you're just talking about the context of the violence, it's fucking hilarious. The first one I ever watched was just this teddy bear father giving a haircut to his little cub, and his little male cub son. And the cub's just sitting in a high chair, going gaga goo goo and all these things. And it's funny looking and shit. And then out of nowhere, it just gets brutally violent. And I just remember thinking they were so funny. I would be doubled over, crying, laughing, watching these things. It's so fucking funny. Make sure he gets all the participation trophies on his fabulous coat. Oh yeah, he's getting all the medals. He's getting all the medals. I remember Happy Tree Friends and Foamy the Squirrel. I don't remember Foamy the Squirrel, but is Foamy the Squirrel? Is that about a rabbit squirrel? Oh my God. Be the squirt. I love shit like that. I never heard of that one. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, Happy Tree Friends, fucking hilarious. Brack on homepage. What are you laughing at, Griff? You laughing at me, or are you laughing at something else? Just coming straight into the chat, just being ha 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 ha. Welcome, Griffu, to PEINTEINGU. Right. I just put some detail in that fairy's dress. Let's do Mario. Paint. Paint. I need tan. I need a pale tan color. Paint, paint. So we grab some burnt sienna and some white with a little bit of lilac in it for some reason. Tiny bit of yellow. Paint, paint. So yeah, I heard that America is bombing Yemen because of something Yemen did. And Yemen did that something because of what Israel's doing in Gaza. Like I don't stay on top of any of this shit anymore. Like I say anymore. Like I never fucking I looked at the news, regularly enough just to see like what kind of madness was going on in the world. But I don't even do that anymore. Like I watch Owen stream. I like watch other fucking streams like fucking like astrological shit, alchemical stuff, like like gravy stuff, like what we call in the bear community. But like I literally just watch like interesting shit I find interesting, and then other than that I just watch like fucking basic shows on fucking Netflix with the female when we're chilling out and stuff. Like that thing Manifest that we're watching at the moment is fucking hilarious. Like when a show is like, it's just watchable because you want to know what's going to happen. That's it. The acting's pretty shit. The storyline's not even that good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking, there's loads of gravy in it though. That's what I know. There's loads of just weird gravy in it. Like, if you're looking for something to watch Manifest on Netflix. You won't be able to watch it on Netflix, though, in its entirety. It's only got season 1 and season 4, which I think is just, like, seriously, Netflix is just so retarded, like. So, like, most shit is so... Like, I just... Like, think about how many fucking broadcast subscription things are out there. There's, like, Sky, Hulu, Crunchyroll... Fucking, you can subscribe to YouTube and watch fucking movies and rent them and shit. Like, everything's a fucking subscription, like, like, which is just the way things are now. I mean, fuck's sake, I was even thinking about fucking opening up a coffee account so people could just subscribe to PEINTEINGU for a month, like, it's just the way everything is now. Everything's just which makes sense. That's the way the markets and stuff are going. People just what you consume as far as media has become very personalized, which I think is a good thing and a bad thing. Like the bad side of that is you're going to get these echo chambers where a lot of people just watch stuff that makes them worse. Like a load of ignorant, retarded, fucking just like uncultured dickheads watching a load of shit TV is not a good thing in my opinion, Which is one of the reasons I dropped out so much out of fucking, well, like, obviously I'm not the only one, but like, that's why I'd always go back and watch stuff like Fawlty Towers or Blackadder or fucking MASH even, or something like, or what are those other ones called, like, the Carry-Ons. They were fucking matron, like all stuff is just like anything, like, fucking horror movies, action movies, like, you know what I mean? There was like a period in like the fucking 80s or 90s where stuff still had a bit of like heart and soul and like craftsmanship to it, It's like so many other things, like. It's why I can't stand digital artists, Not on a personal level, obviously. Like if you do good digital art, it's like whatever. But I find doing art digitally makes an artist lazy and like gimmicky, Like, don't get me wrong, you can do some incredible shit digitally, but it's the computer doing it. You're just like asking the computer to do whatever in that particular spot or whatever, like, Like when you see somebody paint something incredible looking and they painted it by hand with real paint on like a canvas or a board or paper or whatever. Like, there's just something to it, especially when you see it like firsthand up close. I think that's actually one of the reasons why people love buying paintings and like collecting them and shit. Because there is a difference between even in, like especially in my stuff is like you'll see it from a distance and you're like, what's that? And then you look at it up close and you're like, whoa. Like, and you're still like, what is it? I love that. I love painting things and then looking at them and being like, it looks like this, but it also looks like this, but like it also looks like that. Like the thing I have above the laptop, the black and red thing that I'm looking at right now on the wall. You could say it looks like it has like spider-like qualities. Like it looks like a demon. It could be some form of beetle. Like it's just mad looking. Like, you know, and that's the shit I love the most. Whatever about trying to paint something that like I've thought about this, like, you know, trying to paint like, say like Iron Man or something, you know, something that like, you know, like Superman, or like just take something that fucking everybody knows about, you know, an iconic image, and like just do a bust of it or some shit like that. Like, you see artists doing all like that shit on Instagram all the time. They use their skill to do a rendering of like a really famous movie character or some shit like that, like, which I respect, like, you know, but like there's a point where I'm like, you know, all these artists who are like so incredibly skilled and all they do is replicate stuff that already exists. Like one of my if not my main thing, my favorite thing about art and painting and drawing and whatever, like working with clay, any of these things, is like making shit that like doesn't exist yet. Like, have you ever seen, like, whatever, you can say a lot about Pokemon, right? But like things like Pokemon and Digimon, you look at some of the creatures that they made in that universe, and you look at these things, and you're like your brain makes sense of it. You know, it's like there's its head, there's its arms, it's got little stubby legs, like maybe it's got little wings on it or some shit. Like they managed to make something look believable, at least like most of the time, you know. But it doesn't look like anything in reality a lot of the time. Some of them look very similar to creatures that you would see in the real world, but then they've been modified in a particular way where they look fucking crazy, you know? That's the shit I really appreciate. That's the stuff that I used to love doing as a child, is like just making shit up. Like actually making shit up. Like, sure, you take elements of reality, but you create something new, you know? Or at least something that is unique enough to be considered new, you know, instead of just a reiteration or a deviation from something that already exists. I think I need a sip of the mason jar is back. This thing is so handy because it's like you can put so much in it because it's so wide. It's like easily, I think it's nearly a liter you can fucking fit in this bitch. Like, I fill those up and I like try and drink like 3 of them in a day. Plenty of water. Because you need to be like careful you don't drink too much water. I'll never forget that like one of my dad's friends from years ago ended up in hospital because he was drinking too much water. His kidneys couldn't handle it. His fucking GP turned around to him and was like, "How much water are you drinking?" And he's like, "Oh, I go through about like 4 2-liter bottles a day or some shit. Like, you know, I do rugby and I do this and I do that. Like, and I probably pound down about 4 2-liter. Like, that's fucking 8 liters of water in a day." His fucking GP turned around to him. It was like, "Dude, like, stop. Like, drink something else, or stop drinking that much. Like, you're like flushing your system out. Like, it's mad, isn't it? Like, you know." And then the veteran one snaps at the drop of a hat. What we were talking about? Veteran what? and then the veteran one snaps at the drop of a hat. What were we talking about? I can't even remember what we were talking about. That's why I do needlepoint. It's my art and it requires skill. Needlepoint? Corber, are you male or female? Don't worry, I'm not going to call you a faggot if you're male and you do needlepoint. Because that shit's hard, like, requires a lot of focus. Like, for people that don't do stuff like this, right? Like somebody who like has a manual job, where they just like what I used to do, just fucking move boxes around the warehouse all day. You'd be using trolleys, you'd be using forklift shit, you'd be like using like, you know, manual lifters or whatever, like, you know, moving big boxes or like, you know, fucking pallets of stuff like around a warehouse, putting things above your head, picking up, like, you know, very physical, you know. And like all fucking day, especially like depending on what you're doing to get there. Like the last gig I had, I was cycling like 14 kilometers to work and 14 kilometers home, fucking at least like 4 days a week or some shit. Like, you know, it's crazy. Oddly, really enjoyable though. I like cycling long distances at like a medium pace. It's like my version of jogging. I'm not a fan of jogging, but I like cycling over varied terrain over a long distance. Like there was these moments where like I used to come home from work while I was working in that warehouse. It was in a place called Blanchardstown. That's like, you know, a few suburban towns over from where I was living at the time in Lucan. Both are just places in Dublin. But it was a 14-kilometre cycle from where I lived, and I took a few back roads and then got onto main roads and then back onto back roads. But on the way back, the terrain of where the places are built, like some of the views that you would get to just like witness going over a bridge or coming down a hill, breathtaking. Especially if like the sun is like starting to set and it's in winter, and I'd be like cycling home like with like 3 or 4 layers on me, freezing cold. I've got gloves on, you know. Nothing worse than fucking like getting that horrible feeling on your fucking knuckles and shit when you're just gripping the fucking handlebar on a bicycle for like a fucking over a 10-kilometre fucking trip in the like lashings of rain and it's freezing cold. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where, like, you best believe it that you want to be wearing fucking gloves, man. Like, seriously, like, fucking hands do be like roaring red and just like feel like you can, like, you gotta move them, and it's like trying to fucking like, it feels like your tendons are like rusty and shit. Like, it was crazy. I used to get into the fucking canteen sometimes and like just be sitting there trying to like warm my hands up and shit. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, but some of the views on the way home, like you like crest a hill while cycling and just see this like absolutely breathtaking scenery. Like, whatever about the buildings, like, you know, but just like the distance you can see, and it's just like blue skies. And it's like the sun is like coming down. It's in the evening, so it's getting that beautiful orange hue to it. Like, there's fucking trees everywhere, and like hills with grass and stuff, and just like, you know. And then you see beautiful structures in the distance, like a big, like, I know it's funny to say, but like some banks and like courts and like churches and stuff like are really beautiful looking buildings, especially when the light hits them right, like statues and shit, like, you know. And then the things that we all live in are just like, you know, for the most part, like just these huge grey blocks. Like, so stupid. Like, oh. Although, having said that, there were some houses that I used to see going to work. I'd see some gaffs, and I'd be like, dear fucking God. Like, there's some houses that like are on their own land and shit in Ireland that are just incredible. There's such a beautiful looking house, and it's on such a beautiful looking slab of land, and it's in such a beautiful location. Like, there's so many reasons why people love coming here. Like, so many reasons why people love living here. Like, you know. I love living in Ireland. It's fucking great. Like, it's a bit too fucking cold in this house in the winter, but that's literally one of like 5 things I could actually complain about, which is not a lot. I used to have a lot more things to complain about in life. Nowadays, I try not to complain at all. What's the point? Just be happy. Uh, did you confirm if you're female? Although there are no women on the internet, yes, I'm chick, devastatingly beautiful, but quite old. Awesome! Like, fucking, I have a lot of respect for the females that stick around in the bear community because it's like, it's not modern. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's so, like, not to mention the fucking, like, it's kind of like being in a comedy club, like, do you know what I mean? Because it has that kind of vibe where it's like, if you can't take a joke, you're seen as weak, which I love. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love that environment. If you can't take somebody busting your balls, that, like, you know, you're just there's a lot of growing to be done, you know, and that's what Irish people are generally quite good at. Is like, you can shit all over them verbally, like, and they'll just shit all over your back, you know, and then the two of you can have a laugh about it, like. But for years I was in a situation where I was surrounded by people that I couldn't take the piss out of because they couldn't take it. No man to keep me off the internet. Oh, that's hilarious. You find yourself a man and then you'll never be on the internet again. Like I get that whole fucking, like, women shouldn't be on the internet. Not only is it hilarious, but in a lot of ways it's true. But then in a lot of other ways, like, I think a lot of, like, just like many other examples of the internet being a good thing, because it's like a gun, like, do you know what I mean? Like, gun's a good thing, gun's a bad thing, like, you know, paint. The internet has, like, given modern women a substitute for, like, not having the, like, because, like, when we all lived in a village and it was more agrarian or some shit like that, like, you'd have all the women would, like, congregate just like all the men would congregate, you know. So you'd have these, like, social interactions that were very necessary for life, emotionally and mentally and spiritually and all this shit, like. And nowadays, a lot of people are very alone and, like, isolated, you know, men and women. A lot of people just live on their own in an apartment, or they house share with people they don't really, you know, feel close to, or some shit, like. So online communities are becoming even more important in a lot of ways, and have been very important for a long time. I mean, look at the bear community. So many people finding each other, and then so much, like, genuine want for change and creation. Just this, like, explosion of people being like, let's do this, and we could do this, and we could do that, and let's do one of these, and blah blah blah. Like, you know, it's like, that's what really gets people excited, is like, let's do stuff. Why? Because it's fun to do stuff. It's not enough of that, like, you know. But I'd say there was a period of time where, like, before the internet got big, but modern life was starting to take hold in a lot of ways, there would have been a lot of women who, like, were just surrounded by men and didn't have access to other women to, like, talk about stuff with, you know. Like, I'm really aware of how important that is, like, talking. Like, yes, just like anything else, you can talk too much. But especially, like, person to person. I know I just said that online communities are very important and shit, which they are, but, like, there's something about being in person with another person and then having a really good conversation. You know? Having a really good conversation with just one other person on any given day can totally alter your mood, you know? Like, do you ever have one of those days where, like, you're in a shit mood for loads of reasons, and then you talk to someone that you only see, like, every so often, and they make you feel so much better just by, like, speaking to you, whether about the things that you're pissed off or not. Just being in their presence can just, like, alleviate a lot of your stress. Just seeing them in their environment behaving the way they behave. Maybe they're funny or something, like, you know. I've met a few people like that where, like, I could be in a shit mood and then being around that person makes me feel better. And I was that person to a lot of people. A lot of people would, like, show up stressed out about life and would come to my house to get away from other shit. And we'd, like, you know, play video games and laugh about stuff and watch funny videos and shit. Like, that's essentially what my house was to, like, my friends and me for years. Was like a hub of escapism in an attempt to, you know, handle the fucking trauma of, like, everyday life. Bunch of broken homes and just, like, atypical fucking, especially considering the generation we're talking about. Like, I grew up in the 90s. I'm 32 years of age now. Like, I'm a 90s kid. And it's just like so many of our natural social activities and natural spiritual milestones have been, like, completely, like, either forgotten about or, like, turned into different things or whatever. Like modern people are, like, fucking weird, you know. And, like, coming from me, I mean, look at me. Like, you know, me calling people weird is fucking hilarious, but it's true. Modern people are fucking weird, man. Modern people are not like normal people. They're modern people. They've been, like, modified by modernity. And I don't think it's, like, a bad thing. You could also, like, you could obviously argue that, like, a lot of it is a bad, like, but overall, I think it's like anything else, where it's like it's just an opportunity for growth. A lot of people are starting to see the error of our ways for the last, like, couple of 100 years or whatever. Like, what's going to be interesting to see is whether or not anything changes. You know, like, I know things are changing in a lot of ways, but will they swing back? You know, what do people actually want? I mean, if history proves anything, I mean, a lot of people want some really nasty, horrible shit. And I get it, you know. Just like Owen was talking to Marzinski about and all, like, it's. We have free will, it's choice, you know. Yes, the demons are there. Yes, they say all sorts of, like, mad shit and make you feel certain ways, especially if you listen to them too much. There's a lot of evil in the world right now. Like, we live in an era where, like, it's, like, so spiritually and mentally challenging and, like, emotionally charged and all this shit. Like, it's so important to just chill the fuck out. Like, can't make good decisions when you're that, like, fired up all the time. Like, you know. And trust me, I fucking know. You're talking to a guy who ripped his fucking bedroom door in half and then flung it through the window. Put my foot through the floor in my bedroom. Like, like, I used to have such a violent temper. And it was like one of those tempers where it's like, I didn't freak out all the time. It was like once a month or some shit. It was like a woman, you know? Like, once a month, like, everything would get me to the point where I was just gonna blow a gasket. And I would just freak out and put my hand through a wall or something. Like, That was like my go-to thing to do, was to just punch something with all my might. Amount of times I fucked up my hand. Like, amount of times my, like, knuckles and stuff were, like, badly swollen. I don't think I've ever actually broken... Well, no, I did fuck up my thumb. I fucked up my thumb. I don't know if I broke anything, though, if I just dislocated it and then didn't set right or some shit, like... But, like, for someone like me, with some of the the shit that I've done, in terms of, like, violently losing my shit and, like, wrecking the place. Like, I've never hurt anyone. Do you know what I mean? I've never, like, lost my shit and, like, assaulted someone, you know? I've had some fucking crazy kind of, like, light physical fights with the female, you know? But that's just, like, you know, you're a dickhead! Or, like, get the fuck off me. Fucking, like, get out of the way of the door. No! Like, do you know what I mean? They, like, push her aside and walk out the door and shit. Like, that stuff can get, like, a bit rough and tumble, you know? But, like, it's like, I've never even hit a female with a closed fist. Do you know what I mean? Like, for people who've been watching a while, like, I slapped my ma right in the face. That was only a few years ago. Shit got so intense in the house, and I was just making a coffee in the kitchen, and her and my sister had been, like, really going at it, and my ma hit her, and I just seen my sister crying, and I was like, what the fuck, like, I'm just standing there making a coffee, and I had just woken up. I was standing in the kitchen, like, barefoot and topless, making a coffee, and all this chaos is going on around me with these two females killing each other. It's been the same shit for, like, 15 odd years, like, you know? And I just finally snapped. And, like, and what made me snap wasn't, like, anything that was said or anything. Like, she just randomly slapped me on the back of the head, like I wasn't even involved in the argument, like, you know, like, I suppose I did verbally get involved because I came down and was like, you know, just stop, like, will you just stop, like, I didn't make an argument, like, I didn't make a case, I didn't pick a side, I was just like, just fucking stop, like, you know, proceeded to make coffee, and then I get a slap in the back of the head for it, like, so I just lost it, like, and I just turned 180 degrees and just, like, with an open hand, just, like, slapped her. I didn't even slap her that hard, like, you know, I just kind of, like, fucking, like, but it was so funny, like, you know, she's the type of person that, like, very dramatic, even for a female, very comfortable with, like, lying and fucking, like, making shit up and exaggerating things and, like, you know, recalling events in a particular way that, you know, is supposed to make her look better than she actually was, like when 3 female guards pick my side over my mother's, you know that I was in the right, like, you know. I also thought that was hilarious that 2 female guards got sent to deal with me. Like, if I remember saying it, I was like, they're blessed. Like, they're blessed they actually got sent to deal with somebody who's not like that. Like, if I'd have kicked off in that sitting room, there would have been nothing those 2 female guards could have done. Like they were both, like, here. Like, they were tiny women, like, you know? And, like, they come to a fucking domestic. And, like, I thought that was mad. Like, it was one of the first things I thought when they showed up at the house. I was like, they sent 2 females? That's so stupid. Like, what if I was violent? What if I was like that violent and dangerous? Like, they would, like, this situation would have gotten totally out of hand. Like, they wouldn't be able to fucking stop me, you know? Although, you could make an argument that because if you make the assumption that the person is of high moral fiber, which I try to be, you know, you could make the argument that sending 2 females actually diffused the situation, because when I saw that it was 2 females, I'm like, okay, well, I can't blow up because like I don't want to hurt females. Like, do you know what I mean? If it would be two big country Garda, like two big 6'3" lads in front of me with like tattoos and shit, being like, "So what's going on here now?" Like, I'd have been like, "Yeah, I can. If I lose my shit, they're just gonna like arrest me and put me in the car. It'd be grand." Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna hurt these two guys. Like, do you know? Like, I could probably hurt one of them if I tried real hard. Like, but while I'm hurting that one, the other one's gonna knock me the fuck out or pick me up like a ragdoll and throw me around the place. Like I know my limits. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know what kind of character I am for the most part. So when I'm in a scenario, I'm like, okay, like two huge dudes, like fucking body armor on them and all, like, so if I was to try and punch one in the gut or the chest, he's not even gonna feel it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, which means headshots only, and they're like bigger than me, which means I'm gonna be swinging up. Like, all of this goes through my head, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you know that meme where all the maths shows up? Like, I'm forever doing that. Like, I look at a scenario and I'm like, okay, I should do this. You know? Like, in my mind, I'm like if I had to take on two guys bigger than me, wearing, like, call it light body armor, which they usually are. They're usually wearing, like, big boots. They've got gloves on, a utility belt with, like, a baton and, like, a thing of mace and a flashlight or whatever. Like, you know, like, even if they didn't have the baton and the mace, you could just use your fucking phone or a flashlight as a fucking blunt weapon, like, you know, if you really wanted to. If I really had to take on two guys that size, like, barehanded, like, your only hope is to, like, go for, like, vital areas, like the throat, the eyes. You're not going to be able to cause enough physical pain to make one of them flinch hard enough to give you time to fight off the other one. Paint. Like, I find like the realistic logistics of unarmed combat fascinating, you know? Because, like, everything goes down at such a high speed in reality that you can't actually think. If you think, you're dead or you've lost already, you know? Because a trained fighter doesn't think, he just acts, you know? There's, like, the whole disparity between knowing what you could or should do and being able to do it and shit. That's why I always thought it was funny that, like, you hear a lot of guys go, like, don't try to block. Like, just don't be there, you know? Like, if somebody swings at you, just, like, get out of the way, you know? Don't try to block. And I'm like, why not? Do you know, like, have you any idea how hard it is to break or how easy it is to break your hand? Like, it's really easy to break your hand. It's really easy to break your wrist out. Someone swings their hand at you full force, and you lean into it and just make yourself a hard target with your elbows and your forehead and shit, and someone just goes, like that's not, like, Mike Perry. This is, like, this famous fighter. He used to be in the UFC, where he said something to one of the guys that was going to fight him in. He's, like, killing it in bare knuckle fighting the last few years. And he said something that I thought was so funny because it's so true. Somebody came into bare knuckle to face him, and the first thing he said to him was, like, you're going to swing at me, and I am going to, I'm going to, like, headbutt your hand, and your hand's going to break. Like, I'm going to hurt your hand so much that, like, you won't want to swing another punch at me. And then I'm going to punch the fuck out of you. You know? Like, that's the reality of those situations. Is just, like, especially with bare knuckle, like, if you don't hit clean and accurately, like, you could destroy your weapon. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just break your hand all over some dude's forehead or elbow or even a shoulder. If you catch it at the wrong angle, you can, like, boom, like, oh, like, you know. It's so important to know where to hit and when and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could kick a guy in the leg and, like, you don't have to break his leg to render him to render his leg totally unusable for the next, like, day or two. Like, do you know what I mean? You can kick a guy so hard in the right spot, just like in the thigh or in the calf, or even like in the knee if you like kick straight, you know, with heel first and like kick the knee out. Even if you don't actually break anything, you can just move it enough in a direction. And like if they're not ready for it, like, or even if they brace and you hit it the other direction, like, you know, like if someone's ready for a strike coming from this side, and then you come from the adjacent or perpendicular side, you know, like knock them totally off balance and shit, like, you know. It's like I'm rambling now, obviously, but that's like, it's fascinating because there's so many variables. However, you can actually account for a lot of the variables, you know, which is like, there's evidence for this. You can see guys in fights and stuff like that, whether it be in the street or in a professional environment and shit. Like, there are dudes that get good enough that they can like systematically pick apart a guy's mind while fighting him. Like, that's the shit I really love. Like there was a UFC fighter called Max Holloway who was just absolutely touching up this guy called Brian something. I can't remember the dude's name, but like he was fucking touching him up. Dude's face was in bits, like, and there came a point in the fight where the guy touching him up, like Max Holloway, was his boxing was so on point and so far, his skill ceiling was like so far above the other guys that he began to try and teach him how to counter his punches in the middle of the fight. He was like, no, like when I do this, like do this, like, you know what I mean, like, you know, and if I feint and all, like do this and all, like put your hands here, like, you know. And he's trying to help him, like, not get killed by him. Like. And then you can see the other guy was like, fuck off, like, stop trying to help me and all. Brian Ortega, that's what your man's name was. Brian Ortega got absolutely pieced the fuck up by Max Holloway, to the point where Max tried to actually be like, yo, like, do this. And I'll at least stop destroying you. There can just be such a disparity between abilities, like, you know what I mean? Like, and it can go both ways. Like, you could have a guy who's just so big and so, not even big. You can have a guy who's like so physically fit and strong and physically capable from doing something that has nothing to do with martial arts. Dude's never been in a fight. You know, could be a bit of a bitch, you know, but like some shit goes down and this guy's just like so strong that he can just like fucking manhandle people, you know, who know how to fight. Like, he's just so like physically, like, there's been guys in the UFC that are like that, you know, that like their actual fighting skill is like fairly shit, but they're just so athletic and powerful and fast. They're like an animal, you know, compared to the guy who's like trained how to fight. Like, it's so funny, like, so many variables, so many fucking different avenues for thought in the one thing, like, you know. And then you talk about like armed combat, you know, and then like all the different types of weapons, and like ninja weapons are fucking fascinating. So speaking of Indians, like with the whole, I know Pajit week is over, but like Indian ancient Indian weaponry and fighting styles are like no joke. Like, they're really fucking intense. Like the old shit with the maces and the chakrams and the whips and they're like, you know, the large headed scimitars, you know, these swords that are designed to use like fulcrum and weight. You know, it's like where the Japs went for a blade that can slice clean through things. Certain cultures were just like, well, if I make the end of the blade heavier and swing it like that, it's gonna cut off whatever the fuck it hits, like, you know? Like Mongol swords are like that, like Chinese, a lot of Chinese boxer swords are like that. They're basically big machetes, you know? The blade like gets bigger and broader and like heavier as it gets to the end of the blade. So the fighting styles are very like, you know, you swing the thing overhead and swing it low and stuff. And you could just like take off an arm or a foot or a hand, or you land that thing on somebody's fucking head, like, or neck region. Like you're going like 6 to 8 inches in and then having to pull the thing out, like, which is one of the reasons why Japs went for the katana, because the katana can not only can it go in and out like a thrusting weapon, like a saber or some shit, like, but it can slice so cleanly with correct technique that like certain armors were just like negated because it would just go like flop, and like, hey, you could get through plate armor with that thing because like even if you couldn't slice through it, you could pierce it because of the like they're like katanas are like a claw, like, do you know what I mean? They have that like they have that kinetic absorption, the slight bend and shit, and the way they're folded when they make them and all, like, fascinating shit. Absolutely fascinating shit. So yeah, America's bombing Yemen. I was just like, I see shit pop up on my phone, and then I'll hear the like Owen talk about it briefly or some shit, or I'll see something on YouTube, like a thumbnail or something, like. But I genuinely have very little interest in any, like, the latest thing and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I have a feeling like some mad shit's coming down the road. Um, I just like I've seen there's been a lot of signs, there's been a lot of talk that like the next 2 years are going to be like fucking intense in a lot of ways. But like, I'm not worried. Like, not at all. Like, which is good, obviously, you know. But like, I do sometimes wonder. I'm like, am I not worried because I don't care? But I do care, you know. It's just that I'm not afraid. That's what it is, you know. Like, obviously, you can have fear in a moment, like, you know, just be like, oh, but like overall, I just like there's really genuinely a part of me that's like, oh, fucking bring it on, will you? Like, like, you know, kind of like, there's been a lot of talk. Will somebody do something? You know, like that kind of thing. Like, I get real bored with like bureaucracy and people just talking, like just talking and talking and talking. Like, because I love fascinating, stimulating, thought provoking, engaging conversation with other people, I utterly detest most of mainstream goings on. Because it's the total opposite of that shit, like, you know? Mainstream goings on is like, oh, did you hear this celebrity's having a baby? It's like, I don't fucking care who's fucking pregnant. Like, fuck the fuck off. Like, tell me something interesting. You know, like, that's probably why I gravitated towards shows like fucking all the nature shit. You know, like National Geographic, Discovery Channel, fucking like. There's a reason Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, whatever he was called. Um, there's a reason he got so big. The reason he was like a fucking realm wide phenomenon at the time. Like, it was so engaging and fascinating to watch someone who was utterly like engaged and fascinated with the thing he was showing you, like, you know. Billy can fuck off. Fuck me. Billy looks like a fucking soy boy beta male cook fuck if I've ever seen one. Billy can fuck right off. Billy. Fag. Oh god. Oh, jeez, that burp had some fucking stank on it. It was a combination of cream, coffee, and not enough water. My bear-adjacent co-worker Eddie is part-time, and he's great for a chat when I run into him. It's so funny, the term bear-adjacent, and it's like it's almost like bearable, you know? They're bearable. Like, it's not a bear, but he's bearable, you know? Like, because that's what it is. It's like, it's hilarious how the bear community was like. The first thing that was said, it was like, we're the unbearables, you know? And I wasn't even around at the time. Like, Owen was like, we're the unbearables, you know, like, you know, the unbearables. The bear community. And, like, that's how I feel now. It's like, I'm a bear, and there's other people that I can bear to be around, but they're not bears. And then most people I can't bear to be around. Despite being a bear, I find most other people unbearable. They're unbearable. They cannot be bared. Like, shit like that just makes me crack up. It's like, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Like, it's fucking perfect. Hey, welcome, Scouseborough. Scouseborough! Welcome to a PEINTEINGU. The guitar is absolutely gnarly as a fist weapon. The guitar. I thought you were talking about the country there for a sec. What's a guitar? Oh, I almost forgot. Today's phrase of the day. I want to get like I like this. I think this is hilarious. Definitely going to keep this. Right. Today's phrase. The phrase of the day. The Japu. Today's Japu. We need to come up with a name. Phrase of the day. Phrase of the day. Phrasing of the day? I don't know. Today's phrase is Osaryu na Okama, which means fear not, faggot. I like that one. Osaryu na Okama. So we now know that Okama allegedly means faggot in Japanese. So maybe Okamu. We could start calling people like Okamu. Like, which probably means something totally different. Like, gonna end up calling, Okamu. Like, instead of calling people faggot. Like, I was like, what does that mean? It's like, it means faggot in German. Or in German? In Japanese. And you find out it's like one of them tattoos. Like, you find out it means like cabbage or like fucking onion or something. Like, oh, this is so funny. Excellent phrasal. Osiruna Okama. Fear not, faggot. Right, let's have a look at this guitar thing. PEINTEINGU. Oh, I know. Yeah, I've seen those things before. Yeah, it's basically a dagger, but it's on a knuckle duster. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the idea from the Assassin's Creed blade came from, the hidden blade thing. Yeah, those things are dirty. Imagine they just put all your fucking punching force into a point. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's fucking, like... Even if a guy's wearing, like, thick armor, you had a fucking solid grip on one of those things and it was nice and sharp and, like, made out of the right steel, that it wouldn't bend and shit like that. Like, you know, that it was like nice and hard. You wouldn't even need it to be that long. Like, you know what I mean? In 6.5 inches would do it. And you'd be able to hit any major organ, you know, through fucking armor, like, you know. Like anything light, you'd like go right in there. Like, that's what, like, spears, like, you used to fight with swords, like everybody would have like a sword and a hammer or a shield or a fucking axe or something, like, you know, and then spears came along and like it's just like, well, like, you can be really good at fighting all you want. I'm 10 feet away, pokey. Like, there's also a character in Soul Calibur who uses the weapon. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I never got into Soul Calibur. A lot of people really dig it though. Soul Calibur's like Tekken and Street Fighter. Like, it's a franchise that's been around for fucking God knows how long. Like, at least the 90s. I remember Soul Calibur 2 on the fucking PlayStation 1, I think. Or was it Soul Calibur 1? Might have been Soul Calibur 1. There was a beat 'em up. There was a fighting game that Capcom made. I think they made 4 of them. And they were making them at the same time as Street Fighter and all. But I remember playing the first one a lot. And I fucking loved it. And it was called Bloody Roar. And every character had the ability to change into an animal version of themselves when you built up a meter during the fight. And there was like a tiger, a rabbit, a lion, a monkey, like, you name it. I think there was an elephant and there was a mole, and he was mad dangerous. The mole was one of the coolest characters. I think the end boss in the first game was like some little anime chick, like she was like an experiment or something, covered in bandages, and then like she turned into like some kind of horrible demon dragon thing and all. Like, I was so fucking cool, and it was so hard. It was one of those old school beat 'em ups where like some of the button inputs were just fucking crazy. It was like trying to learn a song, you know, like up triangle, down forward circle, fucking, and you know those like in between inputs that, like, especially in like Street Fighter and Tekken, where you have the corner inputs. You know, so the corner direction is actually an input. It's not just like up, down, left, right, like Mortal Kombat has kind of chosen to stick with at the moment. Like, they go to there's like fucking the in-between directions. Like, so some of the inputs can be very accurate, you know, and like trying to pull that off during a fight accurately when it's like 12 fucking inputs long. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, you know, there's a reason why there were Street Fighter tournaments throughout the years where hundreds of people would travel from all over the realm to go watch a bunch of nerds play Street Fighter, because there's a skill to it, and there's the art in the game, and like the like there's such appreciation for the level of focus, the presence of mind, and the control over one's emotions to be able to do stuff like that with a load of people watching. Do you know what I mean? It's brilliant. Like, it's very similar to actual fighting. You know, a lot of people let their emotions get to them in a real fight, and it can break you, you know? When you see two dudes who are locked in to like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or Tekken, and like they're pulling off really difficult stuff at a moment's notice, and like you just have all these fucking nerds watching them who, like, every time some like one move could get parried at a particular moment, and the crowd will just freak out because they're like, oh my god, how did he do that? Like, you know, I love that energy. I fucking love that kind of energy. That it's competitive energy, like, do you know what I mean? There's a reason why people flock to arenas to watch gladiators and stuff, like, you know, it's like different forms of it, but it's all fundamentally the same thing. Like, I don't think it's just bread and circuses. Bread and circuses is when the governing body at the time amplifies that aspect of human culture in an attempt to distract you from the bad shit that they're doing. You know, that's what bread and circuses is. It's like, look at us, like, you know, we'll entertain you while we stab people in alleyways. You know, that's what bread and circuses is. But there is an aspect of like our just being human, that fun and like playing and creating all come together when you make a game, you know? And like, that's why video games have become so big. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like you look at like how massive and varied something as dark as the porn industry is. You know, it's fucking horrifying. It's dirty. It's disgusting. It's degenerate. It's just bad. It doesn't produce anything good. You know, but you look at something like video games, and you could compare the two in a lot of ways because they're like modern forms of entertainment, and they blew up in certain areas and all these things. And like, there's a lot of interactions that people have with these forms of media that produce really bad behavior and like mental problems and all these things. But like, the video games, I would argue, are like where porn would be the dark side, video games is the light side. Where like a video game is a culmination of like the laws of fucking reality digitally employed, and creative energies, and then the sense of like fun and competitiveness and like escapism. Because like, if you and your friends are like just playing with a football, but you like don't actually have anything to make goalposts or like, you know, you use your creative energy in the moment to be like, all right, between those two trees, or like, you know, I'm gonna take my jumper off and put it here, and then like from here to the tree is the goal, you know, like. And it's like the combination of creating something that doesn't actually exist but affects reality. Like, how funny is that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, your actual reality can be affected by something that you made up. You know, you make up the rules of a game, and it could be something as simple as football. And then look at how people kill each other over football. like that's one of the things I find fascinating about just being alive. Is like, you can look at something as simple as like a brush, and then you can travel into the rabbit hole or the world, the universe of brush making, and different kinds of brushes for different uses, and different brushes from different cultures. Danish brushes, Chinese brushes, Japanese brushes. Fuck it, like, you know, and it's just a brush. The same can be said of anything. There's almost like not enough time in one's lifetime to experience all of life, you know? So like, I can understand, in that sense, I can understand the appeal of immortality. To just have more time here to do stuff. In that sense, immortality seems appealing. But we all know that, like, that's not the kind of immortality that we often see people seek out. The kind of immortality we often see people seek out is like the type of mortality that makes one feel superior and like, you know, like a god or some shit. Or the type of immortality that allows one to simply consume as much as possible. Like, if I knew I was going to live for, like, 1,000 years, like, every 100 years or something, I'd, like, totally change my life up. Or at least I'd want to, anyway, or some shit, I don't know. Or maybe I wouldn't, you know. Maybe given the, like, you know, the time frame and shit, like, you'd fucking... Like, imagine still being alive when you have, like, great grandkids. Like, would you be emotionally distant because, like, your family's so big now? Or would it be, like, on another level of, like, connected and, like, you all see each other all the time and shit because, like, the family is so strong and has been around so long and, like, your principles and all this shit are so, like, fully and wholly embedded in your family line and stuff like that. I find fascinating to ponder where, like, you know, but what if you did actually live for 500 years? What do you think it would be like, you know? Because I'm telling you now, like, immortality wouldn't be all it's cracked up to be. There'd be plenty of reasons why immortality would suck ass, you know? Like, what if you, like, if you're the only one that's immortal? Fuck that. Fucking fall in love again and again and again. Jeez, that'd probably get real old, you know? Like, how many times do you think you could watch the love of your life die? Just watch her grow old and dry up and turn to dust. And, like, you just find another one, you know? I don't know, like... Don't get me wrong, the female can be a bitch sometimes, but I don't think I'd be emotionally, like... You know, I'd think about her, you know? Like, even if I was an immortal and I was like, right, time to find myself a fine young female to procreate with for the next 100 years or some shit, like, you know? I wonder how long it would take me to, like, feel alright with it, like. It'd probably be easily a few years. You just feel off, you know? When you're with someone for that long, just being with anyone else just feels foreign. Okay, his Uzi needs a little bit more attention. It's some brack. A little squirt. Just a wee one. Paintingu, 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 paintingu. Big booties. Paintingu, goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Goo goo. That's my royal rag. How dare I? his little mustache. Give him his little eyes. Hilarious. My little Mario wielding shotgun wielding Mario is hilarious looking. Hilarious. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the whole voting and shit in the States. You know, Trump and all that presidential election. Like, I've seen a lot of like truther shit and, you know, not even just like truther stuff. I've seen a lot of like, this is the way I described it to the female was like, I'm just seeing a lot of signs, like in general, you know, whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not, or a truther or not, or like any like what you believe in or whatever, like no matter what your ideology or stance on things, if you're paying attention, there does seem to be coming like some sort of like things have been rapidly accelerating for a while in a lot of ways, like, so I have a feeling there's going to be a big like kind of climax soon enough. It's Mario time. Pumps shotgun. Hey, yo. Some of that parody shit could be so fucking funny if you just take a character that's like not associated with violence at all, and then associate it with like intense violence. Like if I just did an animation of like this little Mario look at, like, it doesn't even have to look like Mario, you know, just has to like look similar to Mario and then kind of sound like Mario or whatever, and you just do a little animation of like, say, we'll take here like the fairies or some shit, like, you know, where it's like just brutally murders them with a shotgun, like it's like, but while saying like, you know, the real famous stuff, like, it's a me, let's go, you know, like, and he's just like doing like horribly violent stuff, like, woohoo, like rounds a corner with a pump action shotgun and just like blasts the head off a fairy, like violently, like something out of like, you know, Inglorious Bastards, like, you know, like pink mist, like you see fucking chunks of wood coming out of a wooden panel on the wall behind her, like realistic as fuck, like, but it's still a cartoon. Just like, hey Mario, we have a lot of fairies in the castle. We need to go kill them. Yeah, okay. And it's like just kicks the door in, and it's just like, it's me. Like, it'd be so funny, like, like that's the shit that cracks me up, like, you know, like Bowser has Princess Peach, like, you know, and they're like the whole time Mario and Luigi are just like kicking in doors and just like emptying fairies with shotgun shells, like, and then like they get to the end of the castle and Bowser's just sitting there with Peach being like, what are you gonna do now? Like, and they just fucking blow the two of them away. Like, Peach just gets it as well. Like Mario's just standing there with a fucking Mach 11 tilted gangster style. He's like Remember the scene from RoboCop where they just stand there blowing him away with shotguns for like 60 seconds? He's like, no! And he's getting riddled out of it. Like, you do something like that with Bowser and Peach, like, and Mario and Luigi just like fucking riddle them, like, and then just put shades on and leave. Oh, it'd be so fucking funny, like, it's a me! And just like, shh. Painting, go.
Oh God, he's coming back. Get out of here.
Can't beat like just the basic pump action shotgun, like, just as far as like modern weapons go, like, shotguns have always been like don't get me wrong, I love sniper rifles. They're fucking sexy looking, and there's nothing more satisfying than sniping guys from a distance, and just every shot you fire is like fucking lethal. But there's also something about shotguns and just that overwhelming intimidation and force of like, do not be in front of this thing when I pull the trigger, you know? And then you have, like, with shotguns, you have all these different types of rounds. Door breaching rounds, incendiary rounds, grenade rounds. If you guys have never seen fucking grenade rounds for shotguns, like double aught buck, like 12 gauge, not double aught buck because it's not pellets, 12 gauge grenade shells, where it's like halfway between a deer slug and a tiny little bomb with fins on it. And like, you fire this thing and it comes out of the sheath, the plastic, you know, shell, it comes out of the shell, goes down the barrel, and as it exits the barrel, these little like thin prong things come out of it, which allow it to stabilize and all, like, just like a lot of larger fucking modern grenade launchers have similar munitions, but like in a shotgun. Do you know what I mean? Like the ability to go bang with a shotgun and like a whole wall would just like be gone, like, or a whole 3 or 4 feet across would be in the wall. Like the type of thing you could shoot a person with, and like the whole top section of them would just be gone. Like there's handguns now that can like fire something the size of a 45 or a 9mm that has like stuff in it, chemicals, like a particular composition of metals in a certain pattern. You know, like you've all heard about hollow points and stuff like that, where like the second it impacts, it just opens, like, you know. But like, there's stuff been around for a few years now. I can't imagine what they have now, because I'm like, this is me remembering stuff that I watched like 10 years ago. And like, they have shit that uses like, you know, superheated copper filaments and shit, like, you know, like, just mad stuff. Like, I remember them describing the type of round that they invented, like the copper door breaching rounds, where it's like, they basically created a shell that vaporizes door hinges with a spray of molten metal, and I think it's molten copper. But they put copper filaments in the shell with like an ignition source similar to gunpowder, but like slightly different. I think it burns hotter. So like the second you pull the trigger, a shitload of like white hot copper just like ejects out of the fucking barrel, and you could just like decimate door hinges. You just like bang, bang, and the door just falls over. And it's like, like they have other shit that like is considered like think about it. Like if you're not applying by the rules or suggestions of the Geneva Convention, like we'd have firearms right now that could fire like superheated metal. Probably wouldn't be very efficient or economically, viable and shit like that. Like, but there's shit you can do now that like you've only seen in movies, because the technology's there where you could make it like complex enough and small enough that it actually fit, in a rifle or some shit. Like they're already looking at, like, for 10 years on now, they've been looking at rail guns. And for those who don't know what a rail gun is, it's like you got guns and then you got rail guns. like railgun technology is like that's the believable, that's the like, the very possible sci-fi shit that I find fascinating, where you could like have a high charge of electromagnetism. You have electrical energy, the combination of electrical energy and magnetism, to essentially, instead of cause an explosion, to fling a projectile, which that's all a gun is. A gun is like, you have the barrel, the explosion forces the bullet up the barrel, and then the rifling of the barrel causes the bullet to spin, which allows it to go, accurately for a certain distance and all. Like, but that's basically what a gun is. It's like an explosion goes off in the weapon and then produces force that flings the round. But if you have like, and that's also why you have recoil. But like, if you had an electromagnetic weapon, there's no recoil, or at least fuck all recoil, comparatively, right? There's some railguns I've seen that, like, when they go off, it's like, god damn. Like, but they're still figuring out the logistics of these things. The railgun I seen, you should have seen the thing they were firing. The thing they were firing couldn't have been considered a projectile, in my humble opinion. Like, they were essentially firing a steel anchor. Like, that's what it was shaped like. It was shaped like a fucking, like a T-joint. And it was just this giant hunk of steel that they fucking flung out of a cannon using magnets that were highly charged. Like, giant. And, like, this thing goes off, and it looks and sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie where it's like, like, and they just fling this bit of metal, like, so fast. And, like, they had this fucking, like, slow motion camera where they, like, tracked it, like, and because it's just, like, a big chunk of steel that they flung out of this thing, like, the utter lack of aerodynamic efficiency in that, like, it was so bad. Like, you just see this thing, like, tilting through the air, like, terrifying, fucking terrifying. Like, they're looking to put these things on. Like, I think they do already have one or two of them. I don't think they're active, but they've tested them. Like, they've tested these things. They've, like, slapped these things on the backs of, like, tanks and battleships and stuff, and just been like, like, and it doesn't even do that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like a normal tank or gun, like, you got recoil and shit, like, but because there's no, Newton's third law or whatever, like, there's no opposite and, like, comparative force because of the nature of the force. This stuff just goes forward. There's no backward energy, like, there's no recoil at all, like. But then they're running into other issues, like, like the power output and stuff, like how much power you actually need to be able to generate in a given moment to do that, and it's a lot of energy. But that's when you're using electricity, hence the electromagnetism, like, I think there's probably a way to do it with sound or something. I don't fucking know, like, or just like air pressure or some shit. Like, I'm telling you now that there's, like, forms of weaponry that we could see come out in the next, like, 50 odd years that you didn't even see in sci-fi movies, you know? Because, like, some people will just start to figure shit out and be like, oh, why fire a bullet when you can just do this? You know, like, it's just like the old school stuff of, like, you know, like in the old sci-fi movies and TV shows where, like, the alien would just fire a ray gun and your man would be like, oh, and he would just, like, vaporize, like, you know, you're probably going to see shit like that. You're probably going to see shit where, like, they can just point something at you and just hit a button and you will just dustify. You know, like, you just be like, huh, just like, you like a leaf in the wind. Like, oh, God. Oh, so much ranting. So much ranting. Probably because it's Monday, you know? I've all this shit running around in my head from over the weekend. Max Dalbero, welcome to PEINTEINGU. Flechette rounds are a thing too, yeah. Those things are fucking dirty. I've seen those things, like, in shotgun shells that are, like, long... they're like long cylinders or long rods instead of bullets, and they're, like, slotted in a shell, like in a circular pattern, so that when they fire, they, like, come out and spread and shit, like, and dirty shit, like. Even the simple invention of a backwards facing barb on an arrow is, like, nasty. Do you know what I mean? You get hit by an arrow like that, and it's like, yeah, good luck pulling that out. Like, you know, like, it's fucking... You're just being a dick. You know? Like, I'm just looking forward to the spam texts about Salami Swami and Icky Nicky coming to an end. Oh my God, what the fuck? The Russians made a 4-gauge from reject anti-aircraft gun barrels. I want it. You should check out it's a video I watched a while ago. I can't... 4-bore. Look it up on YouTube. The world's one and only 4-bore shotgun, or it's a punt gun or some shit. And you should see this thing. It's ridiculous. Like, he puts the shell beside a 50 cal, and it makes the 50 cal look like a bitch. You just say, what the fuck, like. June predicted the future. Sound is a weapon and spice is fentanyl. Yeah, but, like, is that stuff actually predicting the future? Or is it like I was saying at this, like, earlier on in the stream, where it's like they just know something you don't? Like, is that actually predicting the future, or is it you just saying something that if you had the knowledge, like, if you had the knowledge, would you still think that was predicting the future? Or are you just communicating the knowledge of an inevitability? Is that the same thing as, like, predicting something? You know? I know it's in the word, you predict, to dictate, to predictate. You know, it's like, this is gonna happen. But, like, how do you know? You know? Like, if you just know, like, intuitively, and you don't know why you know that's going to happen, I would call that a prediction. I would call that, like, just intuition. You being like, you know, this is going to happen, and then it happens. And you not knowing why you know or how you know. But if you know some shit, and you take the variables into account, and you just make a prediction, I suppose, is there another word for that then? You make a proclamation? I don't know. Certain things I find, like, certain things like that I find fascinating, because it's like the way words work and the way our minds work and the way speech works, language, patterns of describing things and communicating to each other. so much of it is like wrong, and so much of it is counterproductive. Yet here we are.
Choose a faster road to recovery.
I choose to get rid of you, but I currently cannot, cause I cannot skip you. Fuck's sake. The Mars attacks Martians with the skelifying ray guns. Yeah, like the old school shit where you just went bang and like people just got vaporized, like, you know. No, I was only making a joke about Dune predicting the future. It was more a joke about fentanyl as a super drug and sound weapons. It was an unfunny joke and I already regret typing it. Forgive me. Oh, that's hilarious. I could totally see sound being used as a weapon though. But I think about this, right? So solar luminescence, you know, it's possible to create light using sound. I don't know if it's possible to do that in air, but they've done it in water, which makes sense because there's more material, there's more materium, there's more stuff to react to, you know. So if you use sound to create light in a medium, but what if you combined sound, water, and like, you know, some kind of electrical current or whatever to produce a hydro laser? And there was something like that in a video game called Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty on the PS2. There was a mech, a big dirty robot that you pilot, you know. For those who don't know what a mech is, fucking normies. If you don't know what a mech is, you're boring. If you don't know what a mech is, we can't be friends. It's one of those. They had a mech that could dip its head into water and suck up a load of water, like seawater, you know? Not just like normal water, like not normal water. Fucking normal water is seawater. But like it could suck up a lot of water, and then whatever it had in it, like they didn't explain it, they just called it a hydro laser. But it could suck up a lot of water, and then it like fire it from a cannon in its head. The head would like open up, and it would like, it was water, but it sliced through like a whole steel, like a military ship. You know, it would like cut through like inches of steel. And then you look at the like the jet stream template things that they have in, like, you know, in mechanics shops now for like they've got them for a few decades now, I think, don't they? Like at least 10, 15 years. Where like you could get a sheet of steel and you've like a fucking hydro, like you've a, what you call it, like you've a high pressure water cannon, but it's not really a cannon, it's more like a fucking, like the eye of a needle, you know? And you fire water and like tiny, I think it's tiny filaments of like iron, or is it like sand? I think it might be like just tiny grains of sand in the water, going through that highly pressurized nozzle at high speeds, and like it cuts through fucking steel. You know, like if like you passed that over a person, like it'd fuck them up, like, you know. And I think there's going to be like a technological development or a technological like realization where like you're going to have new forms of weaponry where they're going to have to like totally rethink the whole Geneva Convention thing. They probably won't have to, but they probably will. Where like you could make some sick shit. And I don't mean, well, like I do in both ways. I mean sick as in really cool, and I mean sick as in like really disturbing. Because like the idea of just being vaporized is like not that bad. You know, like it's kind of fucked up because it's just like instant death, but it's like chances are it's painless. If you're like instantly vaporized, it's like that's a hell of a lot better than being shot in the neck and slowly bleeding to death or some shit. Like, there's going to be all sorts of weapons that, like, do some really disturbing stuff, but could arguably be more humane. You know? Like, if I had a firearm, if I had a weapon that could produce a flat wedge, like a wedge spray of water at such a high speed that it could cut through flesh and bone and shit, like, you know. But like, instead of like a rifle where it's like, you know, that you got like a fucking, get the angle on the camera here. Instead of having a rifle and it being very like minute, you'd have a flat, wide flat, like a waterfall of water, but like really fucking thin, like, you know. And you could just cut people in half with that thing, easily, like at distances of probably up to about 20 or 30 feet, you know. Fair enough, you'd probably, like, with today's technology, you'd probably have to have some sort of like backpack on you, you know. But you could just go like blang, and it like just fires water at such a high velocity. And maybe you put sand in it again or some shit like that to do the same effect with like cutting through steel and stuff. Like, but you could just go blang, like, you know, like, and as long as you've got a water source, you've got ammo, you know. And maybe it doesn't even need to be water, but you could have like just some form of liquid or some shit. I don't fucking know, like. These fucking ads, I detest them thoroughly. Ha! Yeah, sip sip. I wouldn't follow you anywhere, you cunt. Get away from me. I officially withdraw my use of predicted in this clumsy case. Max out there has like made himself feel like a fool multiple times. Oh my god. Oh, we're over 2 hours. Fuck. I have other shit to do. Yeah, fuck. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna get into painting anything else right now. I need to eat. I need to have a shower. And I have other paintings to PEINTEINGU. The new symmetrical's nearly done. There'll be a new t-shirt and hoodie design as well and shit. I've also a project that I've been working on for Papa J Beru for fucking like months now, in between other shit, and it's finally finished, so I have to get that scanned and stuff. Lots to do. Lots to do. Not just PEINTEINGU. So, ladies and gentlemen, bears and bearettes, niggers and niggerettes, it is now time for me to bid you farewell. Until tomorrow. Same time, same place, same high-octane painting energy, and random rants. If you would like to support PEINTEINGU, link in description. You can send me a super chat. If you would like to purchase my merchandise, link also in description. Until tomorrow, be good, be true, and be beautiful. And I will see you then. In the meantime, God bless. And farewell. PEINTEINGU.